Hey guys, welcome. We're going to focus primarily on hips for today's practice. If you practice with me regularly at all, you know that I think it's really important that we work just as much the stability and strength of hips as much as hip openers. As an area that can tend to talk to us often, hip openers are tempting because we can sink in and they feel good. But we're not on that flip side creating the stability that's really important for the hips as well. And so we'll focus mostly there today with maybe just a little bit of hip opening to get that release at the end. If you have a couple blocks, have them nearby. A blanket sometimes is nice, but we can work around everything. We're just going to start in child's pose. And you can decide here, knees together in child's pose will likely bring up a little different sensation than knees wide, right? So you're still on the tops of your feet with your big toes together to touch, and either inner legs together or knees wide. And you can play a little bit with both as you settle in and just see what feels most effective this morning or this evening, whenever you're practicing. And so one might get more into hips, one might get more into low back. The two are so connected. And then once you get settled in there, just take a few moments, soften through your eyes, take a few fuller breaths, and just let that attention to breath help you start to shift from whatever you've been doing before this and into your practice, especially when we're practicing at home. It's nice to give ourselves a moment to transition and start to be aware of what your breath is doing. To listen to sensation that's coming up for you and your body right now without judgment, just notice. And also just take a moment to notice what thoughts, what your mind is doing. Just sometimes we're really focusing on aligning and fine-tuning the physical aspect of the pose. Right? That in itself can just start to create a steadier train of thought. And so just give yourself a few more breaths here. And then if you're not already, just press down firmly into your hands. Lift your hips, stretch up and back, downward facing dog. Right, your knees might have a little bend in them to begin with. Heels may or may not touch the ground, that's fine. But make your hands strong so you spread wide through your fingers. Line up the creases of your wrist with the front of your mat. And then really root down through your fingertips so it feels lots of support from your shoulder all the way down to the finger pads. Good. Bend your right knee, stretch your left heel down towards the ground. And to switch sides, bend your left, stretch your right heel down. And just starting to create a little bit of mobility through the joints in the lower body. Just warm things up a little bit. And you can start to move this with your breath, right? One on your inhale and one on your exhale. Go slowly enough. You can just notice sensation along the way, right? There's no hurry. Moving with breath doesn't mean we have to move faster. I usually think it helps you to slow down the breath. And then when it feels even on both sides, come back to center. And just take some little steps forward. Walk your feet to your hands. Come to the front of your mat. Now take your feet about hip width apart here. A good gauge of that is 2 fists in between your feet. And then just like you did with your hands, press down into your feet so your legs feel strong. Again, you might have a little bend in your knees. That's fine. Bring your hands to your hips. With your inhale, come all the way up to standing. Exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. We'll just take a couple of sun salutations to start with. Nice way to get moving again, coordinating with breath, and just get everything a little bit warmed up. So take a full breath in. Big breath out, press down into your feet so you feel strong. Inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, keep your spine long, fold forward so you come forward at that hinge of your hips instead of your waist. Good. Lift halfway and lengthen. You can bring hands to mat or shins or even thighs. Exhale, fold, hands down to your mat. Step back, high plank. You can always do knees up or knees down here in plank, but just like down dog, get strong through your hands. Take a breath in. And then exhale, lower all the way to your belly. And tops of your feet down, press into the tops of your feet. Lift up cobra pose. Inhale, head, chest, shoulders. Exhale, lower down. Stretch back, down dog. Take a couple breaths. Just feel the rhythm that your breath is starting to create. Next, inhale, lift up onto your toes. As you exhale, bend your knees, look between your hands, and then walk, step, or a little hop forward front of your mat. You press down into your feet as you inhale and lift halfway. Think spine parallel to the ground. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up, full length of your breath. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Let's do one more like that. Reach up, inhale. And then fold forward, exhale. Match your breath, your rhythm. Might be a little different from mine. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, fold, hands down, step back again to high plank, so top of a push-up position. Take a breath in, find a little toe and lift through your low belly. And then as you exhale, lower, you can lead with bent knees or straight legs to come all the way down. The tops of your feet down. Cobra pose, inhale, lift up your head, chest, shoulders, point your elbows straight back. Exhale, lower down, stretch back, downward facing dog. Just take a full breath in, full breath out. Inhale again to your toes. Exhale, bend your knees, look between your hands, walk, step, or hop forward. Inhale, lengthen your spine, lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Good. We're going to add on a little bit, still moving with breath. Again, try not to speed up the movement, but slow down your breath. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend your knees, sit back to chair pose. Let the weight send back into your heels. Stay reaching up through your arms. Next, inhale, press into your heels, stand all the way up. Exhale, fold forward. Lift halfway, take a breath in. Think about this as creating a longer spine each time. Exhale, fold. This time, step your left foot back. Your low lunge. And then as you inhale, sweep your right arm up to twist. Exhale, both hands down, step back, high plank. Take a breath in. And then exhale, lower all the way down. And inhale, cobra pose, head, chest, shoulders. Might stay low, might find a little bit more height, just depending on your back. Exhale, lower down, stretch back, down dog. With your inhale, reach your left leg up and back. Exhale, step all the way through. Keep your right hand down. Inhale, left arm sweeps up, twist. Exhale, both hands down. Inhale, take a big step forward. Exhale, fold. Lift halfway, inhale. Fold, exhale. And press down into your feet. So strong legs as you inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Just take a pause. Notice where your breath is now. If you can feel that steady rhythm. So you can keep that as we start to spend a little bit more time in poses, but you've created that cadence for your breath. Okay, and then you can keep feet hip width apart, or you can bring big toes together to touch, whatever's going to feel more stable in your body. And you inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, bend your knees, sit back to chair pose. And a couple options here. You can keep arms up. You're also welcome to bring hands to heart or even hands to hips, right? We're focusing a lot here on the lower body, so it feels good to have some shoulder work there. Sometimes it feels like too much on the shoulders, so do what feels right for you. Okay, and then you're gonna settle the weight back into your heels. Think about squeezing your legs into center. They don't have to touch, right? So especially if your feet are hip width apart, then your knees would be too. Feet are together, knees are together, so that those just match. But there's a strengthening in towards the center line of the body. And then feel like you could draw up from your heels all the way up to your sitting bones. Feel that strength along the back line. Right? Starting to turn on glutes, quads, all those muscles that support the pelvis. Okay, with your next inhale, stand into your left foot, come all the way up, reach your arms up, lift your right leg up. And then just pause here, flex your foot. So you have this 90-degree angle at hip and knee and ankle. I'm getting the strength at the front of the hip now. Find your balance. And then as you exhale, send your right leg back, warrior three. Right, now your leg might come parallel to the ground. You might also have, right, your foot a little bit closer and your torso a little higher, but so that it's one long line from wherever your heel is to your head. Okay, stay pressing down into your left foot. Keep your right foot flexed. And then roll your outer right hip down so it feels like the hips are level. It's probably going to ask them to work a little bit more when you do that. And find some tone through your low belly to support. And just keep your chest open so it feels like there's space there. Take a full breath in. And with your exhale, bend your front knee. Take a big step all the way back to lunge. Right, so you're up on the ball of the back foot. You need to adjust that, make any little adjustments that feel good. Inhale, reach both arms up. And then as you exhale, really settle down into your front knee. You don't want it to come past the ankle, so you might even take a wider stance front to back. And then press into the ball of your back foot. See if you can get the back leg to feel strong and steady. You may even keep a little bend in the back knee. Sometimes that feels really supportive for the low back. Listen to what your body's telling you. And take one more breath in. And then exhale, bring your hands down to your mat. Step back, high plank. And we're going to hold for a couple of breaths here. So if it feels better to bring knees down, then you are welcome to do that. Right, like we did in that first down dog, spread wide through your fingers, press down through your fingertips. Stay toned through your belly. And then feel again like you could draw from your heels up towards your sitting bones to strengthen that back line of your body. Full breath in. And then exhale, up and back, down dog. Take a breath. Next, inhale, come to your toes. Bend your knees, look forward. Walk, step, or hop front of your mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Fold, exhale. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Okay, inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend your knees, sit back, chair. Right, arms up, hands to prayer, hands to heart. Right, so many variations, just finding the place that works well for you, but also feels safe and aligned. Right, so settle the weight back into your heels. Sit low to where it feels sustainable, but some challenge. And then draw up, like you're drawing a zipper up from your heels up towards your sitting bones, right at the base of the glutes. Right, and as you sit low, see if you can keep some lift through your chest. Feel what's working, what's having to strengthen. And this time, weight into your right foot. Inhale, stand all the way up. Bring your left knee up, and then just pause. Flex your foot. Feel that strength on the front of the hip as the leg is lifted, right? So good for that place that can get a little weak at the front. Take a breath in. And then exhale, stretch it back, warrior three, right? So if your foot's closer to the ground, chest is a little bit more lifted, right? So that it's like a pendulum to whatever degree the back leg lifts. Okay, and then usually the left hip wants to lift a little bit. It makes it easier. Right, so with a strong leg, you can drop the outer left hip down as you tone and lift through your belly. Stay rooting through your right foot for balance. Take a breath in. And then exhale, bend your front knee, take a big step back. Inhale, reach both arms up, crescent lunge. Right, and so you might need to find a little wider stance side to side. That's nice for stability. Or a longer stance front to back. So the front knee's over the ankle and the back heel is stacked over your toes, right? Or in that general direction. And then press into your left toes. Give your legs a little squeeze into center so they feel stable. And then stay lifted through your belly to support your low back here. Take a breath in. And then exhale, both hands down. Again, step back, high plank. Right, knees up or knees down. Press down from shoulders to hands. Stay supported through the low belly so it feels like a little lift up and in. And then that zipper again from your heels up to your sitting bones. Good, one more breath in. And then exhale, up and back, down dog. Take a breath. Next, inhale to your toes. Bend your knees, look forward, walk, step, or hop front of your mat. Take a lift halfway, inhale. Fold, exhale. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Okay, similar, but we're gonna add on a little bit to what we just did. Reach up, inhale. Bend your knees, sit back, chair pose, exhale. This time, bring your arms straight out in front, kind of like robot arms. Let's take a minute though to get strong and steady through your hips, right? As soon as we sit back, all of that hips, pelvis, and the thighs are really working to turn that on and support. Okay, full breath in. Full breath out, sink a little lower, sit down into your heels. And then inhale, sweep your right arm out wide to twist. Okay, exhale, bring both hands back to center. Inhale, left arm back to twist. Exhale, both arms back to center. Keep the inner legs hugging in to stabilize. Inhale, right arm back. Exhale to center. And then to the left one more time. Inhale. Exhale, back to center. Okay, stand into your left foot. Inhale, bring your right leg up. Right, flex at the front of the hip. Bend your knee, and then flex your foot so you get those 90-degree angles. Take a breath in. Exhale, press your leg back, warrior three. Right, so we go from that strength at the front of the hip to a little bit more opening there and strength along the back line. Flex your right foot. Roll your inner right thigh up. That might also help to level out the pelvis. Think strong through your belly. And open through your chest as you hug your shoulder blades back. Full breath in. And then again, exhale, bend your front knee. Take a big step all the way back to lunge. Make any adjustments to your stance. Sometimes we just don't land exactly as we want to. Both arms up, inhale. And then as you exhale, bend your back leg and bring it just to hover off your mat. Ooh, strong through the hips. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend and hover. Inhale, straighten. This time as you exhale, come all the way down. Bring your hands to your hips. You can always pad the knee if you want a little bit more support. Fold your mat over, find what feels comfortable. Okay, give your inner legs a squeeze in. Lift up through your belly. And then feel where your left hip is. Often here it wants to draw forward. Can you draw it back a little bit so it feels like hips are square? Right, and then with that strong support through the low belly, then maybe the hips start to come forward a little bit. But focus more on the support through the legs and then necessarily just dropping all the way forward. Again, might feel good with the big hip opening, but our aim at the beginning here is to create stability more than just leaning into big stretch, and just notice the different effect that that might have. Take another full breath there. And with your exhale, bring your hands down, lift your back knee, step back, high plank. Good, same thing, take a couple breaths. Get strong through your hands. Right, draw up from your heels towards your glutes. And see if you can start to get a sense of hips and shoulders being in line, right? So the hips aren't sagging down or lifting way up. That in space there, they line up. Okay, another full breath in. And then exhale up and back, down dog. Good, one breath here. Inhale, lift to toes. Bend your knees, walk, step, or hop front of your mat. Halfway lift, long spine. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Okay, second side. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, bend your knee, sit back, chair. Right, we've been here a few times, so settle in. Bring hands together at your heart. So we're going to add on a little bit deeper twist. You're welcome to come back to this first one if this next variation doesn't feel like the right place to be. Sit low. Squeeze up into the glutes. Keep your chest lifted and your spine long. Inhale. Exhale, twist. Left arm across to your right leg. Right. Keep that hugging in of your inner legs. Your left knee might slide forward just a little bit, especially if that feels better for your low back. Take a breath in, lengthen out through your spine. And just rotate center of your chest towards your thumbs. You can feel outer hips squeeze in to support and stabilize. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale, twist, right elbow across to the left. Hug in, lengthen through your spine, and rotate. All right, so inner legs strong, whether knees are touching or not, there's just a hugging to the midline. And then outer hips feel squeeze in, so there's a lot of stability there. Okay, inhale, come back to center. Stand into your right leg. Bring your left knee up. Take a full breath in here. And then one more time, press back, warrior three. You can sweep your arms back like airplane arms. You could also reach them out overhead if that feels like a good choice today, right? No different effect on your hips. With your back foot flexed, roll your left inner thigh up. And just stay lifted through belly, open through chest. Right, outer right hip working so hard to stabilize. Take another breath in. And then exhale, bend your front knee, take a big step back. Organize your stance, your foundation. Inhale, both arms up. And then exhale, bend your back knee just to hover off your mat. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Come back up, inhale. And then just slowly with control, lower all the way down. Bring your hands to your hips. Give your inner legs a squeeze to center, hug them in. And I feel like you could lift your belly and lengthen down through your tailbone. Just notice if that gives you some more support around the pelvis. And then you might stay pretty upright if that feels like enough on the front of the left hip, you might come forward just a little bit without losing any of that foundation and that support, right? Favor that for this practice, right? Just working different kind of ends of the spectrum between creating stability and creating space. Good. Next, exhale, release your hands, lift your back knee. This time, step straight back, downward facing dog. Full breath in, and then child's pose. Right, big toes together, tops of your feet down, knees out wide. Settle your hips back. Take a couple breaths. Right, hopefully, work to create a little heat, a little strength in the hips. Sometimes creating the heat also just helps to loosen up the places that we feel tight, right? These bigger, denser muscles of the body. So this child's pose might feel different from the first, simply by strengthening, not necessarily focusing on opening. And then press into your hands, lift your hips up and back, down dog. Okay, with your legs straight and strong, reach your left leg up and back. And then exhale, step all the way through. And turn your back heel down, come up warrior two. Right, so you've got that heel to heel or heel to center arch alignment. Inhale, straighten your front leg. And then exhale, hinge your upper body forward, come down triangle pose, hand to shin or mat. Here's a great place for a block. If you want a little bit more support there. So create the stability here by squeezing your heels in towards one another, like you could drag them closer together on the mat, even though they're not going to move. And then press the crease of your right thigh, your back thigh back. You might almost feel like sticking your butt out. And then wrap your left, your front sitting bone, like you could drag it in towards the center of the mat. Right, so we're creating some different ranges of motion in the hip, all with some stability by keeping the legs strong and engaged. Right, so we're favoring that over necessarily a big range of motion. Standing poses, right, like warrior poses, triangle, really good for just creating that mobility and stability in the hip joint. Okay, press down into your feet. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, bend your front knee. And then turn your front palm up, reverse, reach up and back. So you can bring back hand down your thigh or wrap around. But as you get low into the front knee, again, make sure it's just not coming past your ankle. Press down into your heel and traction your heel back till maybe you feel a little bit more strength. And then you can get some nice big stretch up into the side body from there. Good. Inhale, come back to center. Reach both arms up, pivot your feet to the long end of your mat. Exhale, fold forward. You might bend knees a little bit here. Just check to see that the outer edges of your feet line up with the front and back of your mat. Let your head get heavy. And then balance the weight front to back on your feet. And just so it doesn't feel like it's sitting all back into your heels. And as you press down into your heels, squeeze your kneecaps up towards your thighs. See if you can feel a little more strength in the thighs there. Take a breath. And then bring your hands to your hips, root to your feet. Inhale, come all the way up. I'm just going to pivot to the back, so turn your right toes back. Slide your left heel back just an inch or two. And bring your arms out wide, take a breath in. And then exhale, hinge your upper body forward, come down triangle pose. Press down, like you could root from your hips to your feet. Squeeze your heels into center. You get this stability of the inner leg to turn on. Can be nice sometimes when the outer hips are weak, so can the inner leg. Right, so we're creating and stabilizing that area all around the pelvis. All the muscles we don't necessarily think of as the hip, but attach along the pelvis. So we're going to contribute in one way or the other to what's happening in the hips. And then you can roll your chest open, find a little space there if it feels good. But let the focus be on what's happening in your lower body. And from that strength of your legs, inhale, come all the way back up. Bend your front knee, exhale. Turn your front palm up, inhale. And then reach your top arm up and back, exhale. Hand to your leg, wrap it around. Right, and you can just take a peek and see. So your knee can be behind your ankle a little bit, just not in front. It tends to put some strain on the knee joint that it doesn't love. Right, so as you stack the knee, right, behind or over, press down into your front heel, and then feel like you could drag it back towards your back heel. You keep that as you lean up and back. And come back to center, inhale. Reach both arms up, pivot your feet. This time as you exhale, circle your hands to the front of your mat. Step back to your high plank pose. Take a breath in. And then this time with your exhale, lower all the way down to your belly, bent knees or straight legs. Okay, stretch your arms back. Turn your palms down. Press down through the tops of your feet. Right, so we're going to lead these back bends from the strength of the legs and the glutes. First, lengthen your tailbone back towards your heels, so we support some space in the low back. And then with your inhale, float your right leg up. Stay. And then float your left leg up to meet it. Right, and maybe you can feel that whole back line of the body turn on. And you can stay just like that, focusing on lower body, or if it feels okay for the back bend, float up through head, chest, arms. Take another full breath in. And then exhale, lower all the way down. Turn your head to the side. Take a breath. Okay, let's do one more like that. Arms by your sides, palms down. Lift through your low belly. Inhale, left leg to float. We'll leave it the other side. Pause, just feel the strength on the back of the leg. And then bring right leg up to meet it, right? If that feels like a lot on the low back, just do one at a time. And then you can either stay here or add upper body to float. Full breath in. Right, so strong along glutes, hamstrings, that stuff that gets really weak when we sit a lot. Lower all the way down. Hands by your sides. Stretch back down dog. Take a full breath in. Full breath out. And stay rooted through your hands. Inhale, reach your left leg up and back. Right, flex your foot, just like warrior three, roll your inner thigh up, level out through your pelvis. Take another full breath in. And then with your exhale, step your left foot all the way through. You can always grab your ankle, help it along. Walk your hands forward, lift your right leg up. Here's another great place if you have blocks. Sometimes the mat just feels really far away and you can give yourself a little bit more support there. Walk your hands forward enough so they're under your shoulders. Flex your right foot. Roll your inner right thigh up towards the ceiling. Stay rooted through your left foot. And for this variation, just stretch the crown of your head forward so you feel long. Take a full breath in. And then as you exhale, bring your knee in towards your nose, your chin in towards your chest. You're going to squeeze and curl along the front of the hip. Inhale, lengthen it back out. And then exhale, curl it in. So you're going to hug your thigh up, draw your chin in, squeeze. Inhale, stretch it back. And then exhale again, curl around and strong in the front of the hip. Inhale, stretch it all the way back. And then as you exhale, bend your front knee. Step your right foot all the way back. So you're in that low lunge again. And then plant your hands. Come back to three-legged downward facing dog, left leg high. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, bend your knee, open your hips. So you stack left hip on top of right. Press into your hands. Anchor back through your right heel and press the sole of your left foot back. Inhale, come back through center, and then exhale, both feet down. Awesome. Second side, right leg up, inhale, and just pause for a sec. Feel the leveling of the hips here. Right, the right's naturally going to want to lift a little higher. Flex your foot, inner thigh up. Then with your exhale, step all the way through. Walk your hands forward to your mat or to your blocks. Lift your left leg up. Right. Flex foot, same action we keep doing. Roll inner left thigh up. Right. It's actually just going to make the hips work harder when the pelvis is level. We engage hips, we engage core a little bit more. Lengthen out through the crown of your head. Take a breath in. And then exhale, curl, knee in towards nose, chin in towards chest. Inhale, stretch it back. And then exhale, curl around in, hug your thigh up, hug your heel up. Inhale, lengthen out. Exhale, curl round. And stretch it back, inhale. You can bend your front knee, step all the way back, low lunge. Plant your hands, step back, three-legged dog, right leg high. Inhale here. And then as you exhale, bend your right knee and work towards stacking. Right hip on top of left. It's strong through the glutes, open through the front. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale, both feet down. Take a breath in. Exhale, child's pose. Sit back. And couple breaths. And come back to that steady breath if it feels like got a little out of breath. Sometimes I feel like that teaching and talking at the same time. Just feel that rhythm like the one that we started with. Notice how hips feel. Right, a little tired, a little turned on, a little working, that feels good. Pain, not. And so we listen, where do we need to make modifications, variations within the practice? What feels strengthening, what feels like too much? And sometimes that is just a fine line of listening to our bodies. All right, come all the way up. You can set your props off to the side and just come down onto your back. Once you get there, bring your knees into your chest. And then take your palms to your knees and start to make some big circles. Knees out, wide apart, and then back together. Like you're drawing the number 8 in opposite directions. And so as we built all that heat and strength in the hips, now just asking for a little more mobility through the hip joint, right, to let it cool down a little bit. Reverse directions. And just notice range of motion side to side, how things feel after a little heat building through the hips, strengthening. And then come back, bring knees in towards your chest. Okay, and then happy baby. So bend your knees, press the soles of your feet up towards the ceiling. Stack your ankles right over your knees. And you can either hold behind your thighs, sometimes that's a nice place to be, or take your hands to the outer edges of your feet. And so your forearms would come across your shins to the outer edges. And then just let your knees settle down towards the ground. But stay active so you press your feet into your hands. Good hip opening. Just one to finish up. As promised, just a little at the end. And so the heat from the hips, right, from the strengthening, and sometimes let us sink into that, just a little bit of hip opening. But I invite you, if you're someone who really loves the hip opening in general, to see what it feels like after strengthening as well. What difference does that make in your body? Especially, I think, for so many of us that we tend to sit a lot during the day, right? That the strength is really just as important, if not sometimes more important. Okay, release your feet. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Curl your forehead up to your knees. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, release Shavasana. A couple options today. If you want to take regular Shavasana, that's great with legs out long. A couple options too to support the work we did. You can bend your knees. Take your feet out wide and let your knees rest together. This might feel a little more spacious for your low back. Or the opposite, you can take the soles of your feet together and knees out wide in butterfly. If it feels like after all the work, just a little more space in the hips could feel good too. We'll spend just a couple minutes here, so choose what feels right for you. Bring your hands out by your sides or anywhere along your body. Close your eyes. And let go of any effort with your breath. Even just these couple minutes really gives your body the time for the practice to settle in. So that we build on that each time we come back to the mat. And your body can develop that new muscle memory. If you have longer to stay, you want to stay, please do. If your legs are out wide, help them back together. And just make your way onto your side. Use your hands. Press yourself all the way back up to sitting. Take a comfortable cross-legged seat. Bring your hands together at your heart. Sit tall, lift heart to hands, bow head to heart. And thank yourself for taking this time to support your body, your breath, your mind. Thank you guys so much for sharing the practice. Namaste.